Body language. Today we're going to be talking about what you see with the normal when you're trying to learn it versus what we're doing now. The norm is we make somebody that is in tactical interviewing or interrogation the expert. So someone like Joe Navarro, which I'm going to show a couple of his books in here. Good books. Important. Usable. Not until after you learn the basics. And the reason is something called amygdala hijacking. And so what happens is normally information comes in the eyes, hits the thalamus, and then goes to prefrontal or neocortex, and you can make responses versus reactions. But when you're under a high level of stress and everything is coming at you, it goes from there to your amygdala. Your amygdala is your fight, flight, or freeze spot. It's your primitive primal reactionary spot. It's the thing that happens when immediate action drills. Something happens, bang, you react to it, you don't respond to it. When that goes down, you end up not being able to control all the other parts of your body. So when you're being interviewed, or when something is going on and you are getting these inputs and you're afraid for going to prison, you're afraid for your current life not happening, your amygdala is you're getting into an amygdala hijack scenario. And so you only need one cue because it's too hard to hold all those other cues in, so you're going to have a lot of cue leakage. And it's more macro. It's easier to see. It's easier to see disgust. It's easier to see the micro expressions. So that's one side of it. What happens from baseline when you see how somebody normally stands when they get overly stressed, when they get too much going on, when they get amygdala hijacked, that baseline deviation is much, much bigger. What ends up happening with what I'm talking about is you need to see the three cues, and they're a little more subtle and they're a little bit more refined because it's happening in everyday conversation. So yes, you could take this thing and then start applying it, or you could learn the basics and then apply that stuff later. This is what everybody is saying. This is a book by Joe Navarro. Awesome book. His stuff. Good to go, FBI guy. Okay. But if you look down where my stuff is, we're picking it apart. We're doing all this these are additions that need to be added for everyday life that are not going to be this obvious. If it's this obvious when I see it, it's doot, right? It's big time. It's the same thing here with the advanced interview techniques. Chair placement in the room and stuff like that. When you look at it like this, when you see these kind of things happen from a tactile interview standpoint, it's going to be massive. It's going to be major. You're going to be able to see it. It's not how it's going to work on a day-to-day basis kind of concept. So what I'm working with, what I'm trying to help you with is get what happens on a day-to-day basis, and that stuff gets super easy. But if you just take that stuff, it's a little bit harder to apply it to day-to-day. Do the basics course. Take a micro-expression course. Then go and get those books. Those books should be in your library. If you look back at my library, most of this is body language stuff. That's just one shelf of the stuff that I use as reference materials and to see other perspectives and other point of views. It's worth having that. You need to have a reference library. Perspectives are very, very important. So, have fun. Play with body language. Get into the course. Remember, June, the course goes up to $150. Remember that once you finish the basics course, starting in June, we're going to have a private group that we're going to go into really detailed stuff. Have fun. See you on the other side.